The Christian Complete Armour by William Gurnall. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 18. Praying always, etc. Chapter 32. An exhortation to the frequent use of ejaculatory prayer, with 2 or 3 helps thereunto. To the saints. Be excited in the frequent exercise of this duty. I know you are not altogether strangers to it, if you answer your name, but it is a more familiar acquaintancy with this kind of prayer that I would gladly lead you into. Such an art it is, that were we but skillful traders in it, we should find a blessed advanced in our spiritual estate, and soon have more money in our purse, grace and comfort, in our hearts, than now most Christians can show. We might, by a spiritual acclamy, turn all we touch into gold, extract heaven out of earth, and make wings out of every creature and providence that meets us to help us in our flight to God. Our whole life would be, what I have read of a holy man, but one communion day with Christ. Then neither friends nor foes, joys nor woes, callings nor recreations should be able to interrupt our acquaintancy with Him. Wherefore, now at last, everything interposes as an opaque body to hide God in heaven from our eye. We who now walk like travelers in some low swamp, with our thoughts so engrossed by the world, that we hardly get a sight of that glorious city, to which we are going from morning to night, and thereby lose much of the pleasure of our journey, should then have it in a manner always before us as a joyful prospect in our eyes to solace us in the difficulties of our pilgrimage, and make us gather up our feet more nimbly in the ways of holiness, then we shall see whither they lead us. We count them pleasantly situated, who live in a climate where the sun is seldom off their horizon. Truly, none have such a constant light of inward joy and peace shining upon their souls as those who are familiarly conversant with this duty. They stand at the best advantage of any other to have, if not a continual, yet a frequent intercourse with God, from whom both the influences of comfort and grace do all come. And if those trees must needs have the fairest and sweetest fruit, which stand most in the sun, then surely they are most likely to excel others, both in comfort and grace, who are most with God. Every little that the bee brings to the hive adds to the stock. Though the soul makes no long stay with God in this kind of prayer, yet the frequent reiterations thereof conduce much to the increase of its grace. Little gain, with quick returns, make a heavy purse. Little showers, often following one upon another, plump the corn. So do those short sallies of the soul to heaven enrich and increase grace in the heart exceedingly. Now, if thou shouldest ask how thou mayest make this kind of ejaculatory prayer more familiar unto thee, first, keep thy heart with all diligency, thy affections, The very reason why we sally out so seldom towards God in these occasional prayers is, because the weight of our affections pose us another way. If our affections be carnal, to earth we go, and God hath little of our company. Adam, it is said, begat a son in his own likeness, Genesis 5:3, and so doth the heart of every man, as is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy, as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. Labor therefore to keep thy heart heavenly, especially look to these 3 affections. First, thy love. If this fire burn clear, the more of these sparks will, from it, mount up to God. Love is a great friend to memory. The adulterer is said to have his eyes full of the harlot, and holy love will be as mindful to God. Such a soul will be often setting God in its view. I have set the Lord always before me, Psalms 16:8. And by often thinking of God, the heart will be enticed into desires after Him. Isaiah 26:8. The desire of our soul is to thy name, and to the remembrance of thee, and see what follows. Verse 9. With my soul I have desired thee in the night, yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. Love sets the soul on musing, and from musing to praying. Meditation is prayer in bullion, prayer in the ore, soon melted and run into holy desires. The laden cloud soon drops into rain. The piece charged soon goes off when fire is put to it. A meditating soul is in proxima potentia to prayer. While I was musing, the fire burned. Then spake I with my tongue, Lord, make me to know my end. Psalms 39, verse 3 and 4. This was an ejaculatory prayer shot from his soul when in the company of the wicked. Secondly, they fear. Even wicked men, though they be great strangers to prayer, yet we shall hear them knocking at God's door in a fright. Much more will a holy fear direct a Christian upon all occasions to lift up his heart to God. Art thou in thy calling? Fear a snare therein, and this will excite thee often in a day to ask counsel of God. Art thou in company? Fear lest thou shouldest do or receive hurt, and thou wilt be lifting up thy heart to him that can only keep thee from both. We cannot have a more faithful monitor to remind us of this duty than holy fear. They that feared the Lord thought upon his name. Malachi 3:16. And at what time I am afraid, saith David, I will trust in thee. Fear makes us think where our safety lies, and leads us to our refuge. Had not Noah feared a storm, the ark had not been built. Men fear no sin nor danger, and therefore God hears not of them all the day long. The ungodly who walk with their back upon heaven, and look not up to God from morning to night, the fear of God is not before their eyes. Thirdly, thy joy and delight in God. O cherish this, as fear disposes to prayer, so joy to praise. Now and not till now, the instrument of thy heart is in tune. One hint now from the providence of God, and touch from his Spirit, will set such on work to bless God. Carnal men have their frolicsome, have their catches and songs. How much more will the gracious soul that walks in the sense of God's love be often striking up his harp in holy praises to God. Psalms 63, verse 3. Because thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise thee. Verse 4. I will bless thee while I live. And again, verse 5. My mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips. See how he goes over and over the same note. Joy can no more be hid than ointment. As that betrayeth itself by its sweet perfumes, so doth holy joy make its own report in the praises it sounds forth to God. It behooves thee, therefore, to be as choice of thy joy as thou wouldest be of the blood in thy veins, and in this runs the spirit of praise and thanksgiving. Now, would you nourish your joy? Do it by sucking the promises, those breasts of consolation. These are food of pure juice and strong nourishment. They soon turn into joy and peace, and with this a spirit of praise must glow also. Secondly, possess thy heart with strong apprehensions of God's overruling providency in all thy enterprises, that he doth what pleases him in heaven and earth, so that all thy labor and toil in any business is in vain till this main wheel begins to stir. His providency gives countenance in the action. Oh, how would this raise thy heart up to God and send thee with many an errand into his presence. Suppose a man was going about some important business and had him in his company that alone could help or hinder the dispatch of it. Were it not strange that he should travel all day with him and not apply himself to this person to make him his friend? This is thy case. Thou and all thy affairs are at the absolute disposal of the great God to bless or blast thee in every enterprise. Now God is always in thy company at home and abroad. Surely doest thou believe this firmly, thou wouldst often in a day turn thyself to him, and beg his good will to favor thy undertaking. Thirdly, look thou attend the motions of the Holy Spirit. The Christian shall find him as his remembrancer, to remind him of the more solemn performance of this duty of prayer, so his monitor to suggest many occasional meditations to his thoughts as a hint, and now it is a fit time to give God a visit in some holy ejaculation, by thus setting the door as it were open for him in God's presence. Sometimes we will be recalling the truth thou hast heard or read, a mercy thou hast received, or a sin thou hast committed, and what means he by all these but to do thee a friendly office, thy affections being stirred, so that thou mayest be invited to dart thy soul up to God in some ejaculation. Now take the hint he gives, and thou shalt have more of his company and help in this kind. As for the evil spirit, where he finds welcome to his wicked suggestions, grows bold to knock oftener at the door, because it is so soon open to him. So the Holy Spirit is invited, where his motions are kindly entertained, to be more frequent in his kind approaches, whereas thy neglect of them may cause him to withdraw and leave thee to thy own slothful spirit. When Christ had thrice made an attempt to awake his drowsy disciples by calling them up to watch and pray, they fell to nodding again. Truly then he bids them sleep on. End of chapter 32.